us this evening?
Good evening. I'm here, Tolu Walope.
Oh, thank you, Tolu. Thanks for joining in. We have one there. Chika, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Okay, so most often at JIIPCC, we really appreciate where at least at the beginning of the class, if you could actually turn on your camera to just let people know you're around, it helps a whole lot to should I say boost them kind of connection with even the mentor for that day. I know we'd most likely turn off our cameras or our videos. So we could just do, or at least as the class is starting, just turn on your video so we could see your face, connect some more. Can we do that briefly, please, if you're in a good place to turn on your video? Oh, Chika, you're hiding this beautiful face from us. It's not fair. She's blushing. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's already past 5. My name is Godslove Kamaloni, and I'll be the moderator for today. We thank God for this session. Thank you to JIIPCC for this opportunity to actually learn and grow. It's the second week. So how has it been so far? How was first week? Chika, how was first week for you?
Informative and educative. I really did learn a lot from the mentees, and it was worthwhile. It still is worthwhile.
It's JIIPCC. If it's not worthwhile, then it's not JIIPCC. Hello, Tolu. How was your first week?
Well, I didn't join on time. I just joined last week, so it's catching up via the YouTube video.
Perfect. Yes, so that's the thing. Where you can miss up class completely, please, you can always catch up on the YouTube channels. It saved me a whole lot of time. Miriam, are you there? Blessing Bill. Anya Benedicta. I'm getting everyone. Okay, please, iPhone, if you do us a favor of changing your phone's name to your name so we could actually get to connect with you on a more personal level. Okay, so I think it's high time we just move into the class for today, today's session. I want to say a big thank you and thumbs up to and hello to Mr. Hussein. It's always amazing seeing you in all these sessions. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so let's get to know more about JIIPCC. Mr. Hussein, please, can you help me? Okay. So I believe we've seen this and heard of this over and over and over again, but just for some more clarity, we could know more about it. So the JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly mentorship program for students and young professionals across Africa. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. This is an amazing part about JIIPCC for sure. The level of people we get to meet through these sessions are mind-blowing. I believe we just gain so much from it. The program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. So you can always check our hashtag, hashtag JIIPCC MIP rather. Like Tolu did, if you've missed any session, you could always watch it on YouTube. They're always there. You could catch up on YouTube with any session you've missed prior to that. The objectives of the program, it helps to provide easy access, guidance, training, and resource materials for students and young professionals in Africa. It facilitates dialogue and network among experienced and less experienced professionals and stakeholders. Throughout this program, you'll get to meet amazing mentors who would make you learn, relearn, and unlearn a whole lot of things. It's kind of a bridge between the inexperienced and the experienced. Gypsy with this program will surely transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation. I remember a session that I was moderating, and so Hussein will always say mentor slash moderator. Yes, Gypsy actually taught me that even in my line of work, it has made me grow from just being a mentee to understanding how to think as a mentor and, would I say, experience firsthand the knowledge of our mentors. Gypsy facilitates further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for the mentees. I know that when I joined Gypsy initially, there was this idea about WIPO, and there's a whole lot of, should I say, mentoring sessions I've actually gotten because of my involvement with Gypsy from our wonderful mentors. Okay, Mr. Hussein, thank you. So do not forget that at Gypsy, there's a 30-minute one-on-one with your favorite mentor. It's very, very, very important. For 30 minutes, you get to talk everything you want to talk about. It's mind-blowing. So I would really, really adhere and advise that we utilize these 30 minutes one-on-one mentorship session with your favorite Gypsy mentor. So if you want to do that, please kindly reach out to any of the Gypsy admins. Mr. Hussein is always here. You could reach out to him. Please utilize that particular, would I say, forum to meet your mentor one-on-one. It's going to foster a lot of relationship on a personal level with these mentors. Thank you so much, Mr. Hussein. And we're just in week 2. Please endeavor to reach out to your friends, your colleagues, to also jump on this train, come on board this wonderful ship. It's not the Titanic, so it's not sinking. So reach out to your friends, your colleagues, professionals, inexperienced people who you think will learn from this program. There are amazing Gypsy courses. We have the IP courses, the Artificial Intelligence and Technology, the energy industry, fintech, health tech and law, patent drafting, blockchain, NFT, and metaverse, a whole lot of amazing packages. We are here with the data protection, privacy and protection. So there's a whole lot more that can be learned through this process. And I think we can actually reach out to our friends to also come on board this ship. Okay, enough said. Let's meet our mentors. I know that our mentors are returning from last week. So we've met these amazing people. First off, I already see that Mr. Emmanuel Enwere is already on the call. Thank you so much, sir, for being there, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with the Gypsy mentees. We would not take that for granted. Thank you so much, sir. And also we'll have, thank you, sir. We're also going to have Mrs. Solomon Okedara on the call. Let me confirm if he's already with us. Okay, he's not here yet.
He's not on the call
yes,
yet.
Yes, sir. So very soon we have Mr. Solomon Okedara on the call. It's just going to be an amazing time to have a good time. I don't know how best to just say that. Mr. Solomon is one I've also been privileged to be under his tutelage, and he's simply amazing. Okay. So mentees, are we ready for today's session?
Yes, we are ready.
Why is Mr. Hussein being the mentee here?
Yes, we are ready. Ready.
Yes, we are ready.
Yes, we are ready.
Amazing. It's nice hearing from Blessing and Benedicta. Okay, so without any further ado, let's welcome Mr. Emmanuel Enwere to give us his opening statement. Mr. Emmanuel, sir, over to you. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here today. And thank you very much, Gypsy, for providing this platform. for us to be able to share knowledge and develop ourselves. And today we're having a very interesting topic where we'll be discussing about data collection, processing, and transfer. Also, we'll be looking at for the best practices involved and other aspects of these privacy and data protection. So I would like you to be attentive and gather as much as you can, because today you're going to be getting the very juicy part of this very program. And let me start by saying, when we talk about data collection, I believe that I saw just one slide. I don't know if it's just one group that will be presenting today. Mr. Hussein, I saw just one slide.
Okay.
I got one slide.
You're supposed to have 2 slides. I'm coming. Let me see. Okay, that means group 2 submitted their slides after the deadline. So I'll just check and see if I can share. We are supposed to have 2 groups, sir.
Yeah, I got just one. Okay, so let me proceed, because I know there will be time for us to analyze the slide. So when we talk about data collection, from the slide, I saw that there was something good done. So I will just give a summary and make everything really, really clear. Like data collection, when we say collection, we mean gathering of information. So when you gather this information, when it comes to data processing, we're talking about the collection, the use, and the processing. So now the topic is collection. We're talking about when you collect this data, when you gather this private, when you collect this information, what happens next? You may process it, you may store it, you may analyze it, you may process it. So all these are under what data collection are all about. And there's something very important that you must take note of. When it comes to privacy and data protection, for every aspect, there must be a legal basis for anything. So when you talk about data collection, what are those bases on which data can be collected? Part of the basis includes transparency. And transparency, it's all about a clear communication to the data subject on what the data that is collected will be used for. And if there will be any third party involved, the data subject must be aware. Not forgetting the fact that consent is very important. In our last section, we discussed on the importance of consent. And also, one of the bases on which data can be collected is only when the data subject has granted their consent, especially when it has to do with sensitive information. Now, we also discussed purpose limitation last week. And in purpose limitation, you're aware that data must be collected for a very necessary purpose. It must be limited to what it is required for, and they must not abuse the data, collecting more than what they need. Also, when we talk about another basis for collection of data, we're looking at the accuracy. Accuracy meaning that the data must be correct, the data must be up to date, and the data must comply with what the data subject has provided. You cannot leave out some part of the information provided by the data subject and work with less than what he has provided. So it must be accurate, it must be updated, and exactly what has been provided for you. Also, we're going to be looking at data processing. When you hear the word data processing, what comes to mind? Processing, this involves the manipulation, the analyzing, the transforming of data. Now, if you want to have a better understanding of this, you bring it back to privacy and data protection. You understand that this involves data storage, retrieval, analysis, and different form of activities. And all these are geared towards decision making. So data are processed. When I say data procession, I'm talking about the manipulation, the transformation of information, which for to achieve a particular result or purpose. Such purpose which must be disclosed to the data subject. Now, as I told you earlier, for anything that pertains to privacy and data protection, there must be a legal basis for it. So, what are the legal bases for data processing? Number one, there must be a lawful reason to process the data. Lawful reason, which must also involve the consent, or where there's contract between the data subject and the controller, or to fulfill a legal obligation, or where there's a vital interest, public tax or legislative, or let me call it legitimate interest. Very important, legitimate interest. That is the most common use, especially in the EU, legitimate interest. So there are some concepts that are associated with data processing, which includes data minimization. We spoke about it the last time, which is having the right data, not more than, but limited to what is required. We also have data retention. That is, there must be a specific period at which the controller will keep the information of the data subject, and the data subject having his own rights at any time to erase his data, to get his data corrected. Okay, to save time, let me go into the next aspect, which is data transfer. Now, for most controllers and processors to achieve their purpose in processing this data, this information, most of the time they require the help of a third party. So data transfer is all about the sharing, the transmitting of this information between different entities, which could be between the controller and the processor, the controller and a third party, or even international transfer. Sometimes they call it international border, and this transfer must be secured. Now, I'll go back to the same thing I told you. There must be a legal basis for any transfer. And what are those legal bases again? There must be explicit consent, where there's a contractual obligation, or where there's a legal requirement for such. For this transfer to happen, there must be adequate safeguard by the parties. And this safeguard, I remember I was able to arrange it in a particular way: organizational safeguard, technical safeguard, and legal safeguard. So if you can remember these, organizational, technical, and legal safeguard must be on ground to ensure that this transfer are done properly. Like in the EU, where I practice and understand better more, the GDPR depends so much on adequacy, where there's adequacy relationship, or where there's a standard contractual clause with any country, and lastly, where there's a binding corporate rules. They can now have a safe data transfer or international transfer. And for the best practices, I would like to say that that is where our roles as lawyers, as persons of interest in this very field comes in. In every organization, there is a standard, there's a requirement for how data is managed. And when I talk about the management, what I'm talking about data mapping, and I'm also talking about impact assessment to ensure that this safeguard, this adequate security are maintained to a high standard. So I would like to stop here, and I believe Mr. Solomon will give an excellent touch as well. And I'll also be back to continue what I have started. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Mentees, please just do that for Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much, sir. Hello, mentees. Please, I want us to be really involved in today's session. Hello, mentees, are we still here?
Yes, we are here.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Mr. Miller has done so much justice to data collection, data transfer. Thank you so much, sir. I had sometimes I could resonate with. Okay, Mr. Solomon is not on the call yet. So I think we'll move on to the group presentations. Please, group presenters, are you ready for your presentation, please? Group one, are you ready, please?
Quickly, Mr. Moderator, I think we can take pictures now.
Oh, okay, yes, please, that's true. I was really hoping that Mr. Solomon will be on board before we do that, but since he's not here, so we could do that. Hello, guys, it's my favorite time of JIIPCC. Picture time, please. So do you mind turning on our videos and put a smile on your face, and let's take something nice. Come on, turn on your cameras and let's take this picture time. Put a smile on your face, fix your wigs, and let's smile. Isaac Udor, I can't see your smile. Finally, Tolu is smiling. Do not forget this picture will go viral, so please keep your best face forward.
I've taken them.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay,
please, Mr.
so
Moderator, before
think...
sorry, please, Mr. Moderator, I think since Mr. Solomon is not around, I can just take a little out of his time to share a particular case, because I was trying to see, I know that Mr. Solomon is a well-detailed speaker, so I think I can just speak a little out of his time and speak about a particular case so that they will be able to understand more about this concept.
Okay, so that's perfect. That's perfect.
Thank you very
on,
much. Thank you very much. So I'll be sharing about a Nigerian case, very illustrative, and it really help you understand so much about this concept. The case is Babalola versus a microfinance bank, basically, that we're all familiar on how they will just send messages to different people in their contact and letting them know that this other person collected loan from us and the person has refused to pay. I guess most of us will experienced that.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So on this fateful day, a lawyer was just sitting in his house. His name is Olumide Babalola, and he got a message from this Suko lending company. Suko lending company sent him a message telling him that his friend collected this loan and the friend has refused to pay back, and he should get in touch with his friend and remind him to make the payment. He was surprised because he never gave them his data, and this company, this Suko lending company, they're using his data for their business purposes. He took the matter to court, and part of his prayers before the court was the fact that they processed his data without his consent. They used it for their business gain, which is a violation of his privacy and a violation to Section 37 of his rights. Now, in the course of the case, I was so impressed with what the judges explained. In part of their ruling, Ogumiji JSC, yeah, I love her so much, made a very lovely statement. She explained that privacy is all about letting a data subject have his whole life to himself and let him be the one to determine whatsoever he gives out. So the fact that the company went ahead to process his data without his consent, using his data for their business activities, was an infringement to his right to privacy, and they do not have the legal basis to process his data. So we're talking about legal basis to process data. If you can remember, we spoke about contractual consent. Consent is very, very important. You can't take away consent at all. So we have vital interests, we have fulfilling a specific purpose, but in all these, the court held that they did not have the legal basis to process this data, and the court awarded damages of 5 million naira to the lawyer. So this will help you to understand that then when this case was decided, we're yet to even have the Data Protection Act in place. So the court relied strictly on the regulation and gave this sound judgment. I will share the judgment with you so that you can as well study to understand more on the beauty of how legal basis must be in place before any processor or any controller or processor will tamper with the data subjects with the data subject's rights. So, moderator, thank you very much for allowing me to share this case.
Thank you very much, sir. That case is everything. Lawyers here, I think we have a locus classicus we're going to use now. We're going to court. We have a lot of messages to be receiving. So it's time to make money. Okay, thank you so much, sir, once again. Group one, I see that you are ready for your presentation. Please, the group one presenter, you have the floor, please. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. Mr. Isaac Udo, I saw you were sharing your screen earlier for group one.
Okay, I'm setting up.
Okay, while doing that, you could actually go ahead with an introduction so it flows for you.
Okay. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, for group one, our topic is data collection, processing, and transfer. And I'll be the presenter for group one. So let's go into the intro. Now, data collection.
Sorry, Mr. Isaac, can you check
Yes.
your screen because you're frozen up? We're just having a folder, not the presentation itself, please.
I can't hear you.
Do you mind checking your what you're sharing, please? Because we have just your folder and not the PowerPoint slide itself.
Okay.
While you're fixing that, please, you could go ahead with your introduction so we could save more time.
Okay, please can you click on the folder? Can you guys click on the folder?
Maybe you would stop sharing and start sharing again. Okay. Just go to slideshow. Slideshow up there. Slideshow is up. So Isaac, if you want to play the slide, go to slideshow and you'll be able to play the slide from there.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator. Who is talking? I can't hear anybody.
Exactly. We're waiting for Mr. Isaac. If he's the one I'm talking, he's trying to share his screen. So Isaac, please just carry on, please, sir. For once of time, please, kindly carry on, Mr. Isaac.
I think he's talking, but he's muted. Please kindly tell him to unmute himself.
Please, is there someone in group one that could reach out to him on your WhatsApp group, please?
Well, what I think is maybe the backup presenter can just step in. Backup presenter can step in. You can share the screen. You can start presenting because you can't hear Isaac. We are only seeing his screen, and he's not responding.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, let's start. I'm sorry for the little technical glitches. Can you see the screen now? Can you?
Not yet, it's black. Just
No.
carry on. Just carry on. We'll follow through. If there's someone in that group, please, that could help him share the screen, that would be really nice.
Okay. Let me just start. Okay, the concept of data collection. Basically, when we talk of data collection, it deals with gathering data for a specific purpose. Yeah, for a specific purpose, it can be whatever purpose you want. Now, there's what we call the basis for data collection. And the legal basis means that once you are collecting data, you should ensure consent is obtained, like you obtain the consent of the data subject once you are getting the data. If you don't do this, you are breaching his right to privacy and data protection. So this is seen in the case of digital right lawyers and LT Multimedia. Now, the fact of that case was that the data controller had collected, he had collected and processed the data, the email of from subjects, over 200 subjects without their consent. So that is the data controller here was the subject. The data controller is the respondent here, that is LT Solution. So the appellants, that is the digital right lawyers, took up the case to court, and the court stressed the fact that consent is necessary when collecting data. So there are various ways which this data can be collected: through observation, questionnaires, through interviews. And so a classic example would be the e-form. E-forms, when you are asked some details and you present them, you give those details, and at the end of it, they will write something like terms and conditions. Will you agree that this information that you have provided you will be used for a particular purpose? So that is them basically getting your consent before using your data. So can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, we can, please. Carry on, please.
Okay. Now, to data processing. Data processing is basically the manipulation of data, that is using this data for trying to use this data for a specific purpose. That is, it involves according to the NDPR, there are various processes which are involved in this processing: collecting of data, recording, retrieval, transfer. All them constitutes data processing. So even the collection that you're taking, it involves data processing. In my slides here, I have a diagram that shows how the data is collected. From data collection, we have data aggregation, analysis, forecasting, decision, then distribution. That's basically how it works. Now, also under data processing, you need to understand that you have to apply the principles of data processing. That is the principles involved. That is the principles that are contained in the NDA. That is, you ensure that there is consent, appropriate consent from the parties. The interest of the parties at is understood, then public interest is also at hand. So that is what data processing involves. Now, when we talk of data transfer here is a secure exchange of personal data between two parties who neither of them, sender or recipient, is a data subject. So the key word you should note here is secure transfer. Now, for data to be processed, for data to be transferred, you must ensure that that transfer is secure. Like there is adequate level of protection for the data subject when you are transferring this data in, yes, yeah, when you are transferring this data. Now let's take a hypothetical scenario. Okay, let's say NIMC, that is the National Information Management Commission that deals with the NIN, takes up the data of a subject, let's call him Mr. A. Now, Mr. A needs to transfer. Now, NIMC has the info of Mr. A. Now, Mr. A wants to use this data to transfer information for another organization. Now, what will happen is that he's going to tell, let's call the other organization B. What will happen is that he's going to tell the organization, he's going to tell NIMC to transfer the data to organization B. So in doing this, NIMC must ensure that his details, let's call it his NIN details, his biometrics, his name, and others, they are securely transferred in a sense that there is no breach and a third party does not make use of it. So basically, That is what data transfer is about. And another thing, data transfer is often used as an alternative to hostile enterprise application integration system. Basically, in a simple term, what this means is that data transfer tries to curb the demerits of manual collection and administrative delays. That is unnecessary duplication of data. When you have to, like in the hypothetical case I gave, organization B, instead of Chika, oh, I'm sorry, I'm using Chika here. Is Chika in the room? Is Chika in the room, please? Okay, I will have to continue. Okay, Chika has to transfer his data to organization B, but instead of him to go through the normal process of starting to give them all the details of where it's from, his address, his phone number, his biometrics, he simply has to just um, tell NAIMC to transfer the data to him. So it will save him time and it will not cause any delay. So that's why we transfer data. Now, another thing you should understand is that under the NDA, specifically section 41, there's a provision that says now you must understand that data transfer is not only limited to personal transfer, you and an organization. It can also go cross-country. That is, you can transfer your data to another country. Now, under the NDA, they require it's called cross-border transfer of personal data. Now, the requirement in this is that for an organization to transfer your data out of Nigeria, let's say out of Nigeria, the recipient country must have a law that provides a sort of adequate protection for the same data. That is, there must be protection for that data that is transferred. So that is a requirement under the NDA for data transfer. So that's all you need to understand when we speak on data transfer. So on my next slide, we have the various types of data. Now,
Mr. Isaac, please, you should be rounding off, sir. Thank you.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir, please. Yes, you should be rounding off now, please.
Okay. Types of data, then we have the financial data. Financial data basically deal with finances. It could be your balance sheet, your income. Then statement of account also falls under financial data. Then we also have health related information. Then confidential business information also falls under that. Now we have to look at briefly. Let's look at the sensitivity levels. Sensitivity levels basically talk of how the how sensitive, how risky the data is. If such data is leaked or such data is breached, the effect of it, how is it going to affect the data subject? So we have high sensitivity data. This is the type that any breach will have disastrous effect on the individual, and the organization. We also have medium sensitive data, and medium sensitive data is the type that will not have disastrous effect. Then we have low sensitive data. Low sensitive data is basically the one that is for public use, public data that even though anything happens, is not going to have effect on the public because it's already public, it's already for everyone. So concluding, I also have the okay. So the concept of data minimization. So the principle data minimization basically refers to that you should limit the collection of a data subject data to what is needed. You should not go beyond what is needed. That is, if you need it for A, you should collect the data just for A and use it for A and not take it for B. You can see it under the provisions of the 24 of the NDA. Now, at the end of my slide, you can see the data collection best practices here. Basically, this is the roundup of all what data collection, processing, and transfer is about. Data security should be ensured. There should be a legal compliance. That is, consent must be obtained. The principle okay. Then you must be transparent. Data minimization comes in. Collect what is needed. Then protection also of the data subject
Okay, thank
information,
you so much,
and
Mr.
that's the
Isaac.
end of it.
Please kindly round up. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, group 2, are you ready? Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. I know that it took a lot for us to start off with that, but thanks for the nice recovery and for taking us through that journey to the end. I really liked your slide, and the fact that you had cases there as well. And there's one thing Mr. Solomon always liked, or would always like. So thanks for making it so. It was clear enough. It was clear enough. Group 2 presenter, are you ready, please? And group 2 backup presenter, please also be ready in case there's a glitch I need to take up for the presenter immediately. Please, we really appreciate that. Group 2, are you ready? Hello, group 2 members.
Yes,
Lesson, are you in group 2? We're struggling to. Please, do you mind being a little bit audible?
Okay, I said I'm in group 2. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but your volume is kind of fluctuating. Do you mind being a little bit audible?
Sorry, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please, can we all hear Blessing?
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, Blessing, you have
Yes.
10 minutes, please. Your time starts now.
Okay. 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 Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody can see my screen. I can see the
Yes, we
slide.
can.
Okay, my name is Blessing Bill, and I am the presenter for Group 2. Our topic is lawful basis for data processing and for transfer and for international data transfer. So quickly. So with the rush for data, there has to be some level of restrictions on the reasons for collection of data and transfer of data from one person to another. And also, one of the first questions which organizations involved in the processing of personal data, that is data controllers, should ask themselves before undertaking the processing of any data is, what is my reason or justification for the processing of this data? That is why before any organization should embark on processing any data, they have to have what is called a legal basis. That is the reason, the lawful basis for you to process any data subject data. So quickly, what is lawful basis? Lawfulness refers to doing something in accordance with the law. Like you processing data, it has to be in accordance with the rules and regulations governing data protection. So what is lawful data processing? It refers to the process of processing personal data in compliance with the laws and regulations governing data protection. Please, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we
Yes, we
can.
can hear you. Carry on, please.
Please, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we
It means that
Please,
any
Blessing,
organization or okay, it means that any organization or individual that processes personal data must have a valid legal basis for processing, or we call it legal justification for doing so. So what are these legal or lawful basis for processing personal data? Article 6 of the General Data Protection Regulation provide or set out lawful basis for processing of personal data. And these bases are: number one, we have consent, we have contract, we have legal obligation, we have vital interest, public tax, and legitimate interest. So we'll pick them one after the other. So consent, this is one of the lawful bases that most data subjects and most data controllers are very familiar with. And also the GDPR gives some guidelines as to what constitutes a valid consent. So it states that for consent to be considered valid, it has to be through a clear affirmative act, and it should be unambiguous. Like I have to deliberately opt in or agree to you consenting my data. I have to give you permission. You have to explain in detail what you want to use my personal data for before you can go ahead in processing. I noticed when I was about to join the class today, I was being told that it's a live class and my videos and pictures are going to be shared. And I was asked if I agreed to that, which I clicked that I agreed. That is one of a very clear example process on. And also, we should also note that silence should not constitute consent. The fact that I've not replied or I've not taken any action to giving you a valid proof that I've consented to it, you should not just assume that I've consented to you processing my personal data. One of the example of consent is you ticking a box when you are visiting a website, or setting out some website rules for you on your phone or on your apps. That is it. And also what we should also know about consent is that consent should be collected without fraud or undue influence. I should not be under pressure, or you should not use fraudulent means to collect my consent. Okay, we move on to the next lawful basis, which is contract. This legal basis is only utilized in the consent where there is a contractual relationship between the data subject and the data controller. A clear example is you shopping. A clear example is you shopping on the online store, and then you are being asked for your shipping address, or you are being asked for your card information. You have to provide those informations before you can actually pay for them. So in that space, when you are when you are in a contract with someone, in order to perform the contract obligation, personal data of parties are being shared, and it is lawfully processed. So we move on to the next one, which is legal obligation. GDPR described that this lawful basis is where the processing is necessary because of an obligation to which the data controller is subject to. There have to be a legal obligation specifically requiring that the exact process activity which the controller is going to. Sorry, there have to be a legal obligation specifically requiring the exact processing activity of the controller. So you can't want to process my personal data when you have other intentions. So if the legal obligation is for you to process this particular data, you cannot drift in collecting any other form of data from me. So we move on to the vital interest. This is commonly used when in cases of emergency, like you want to protect someone's life against harm or against any serious threat. So this is often used in health emergency situations, and you cannot just use vital interest in all emergency situations. It has to be in an emergency situation that will protect the vital interest of that data subject. So aside from that, vital interest cannot be used as a legal basis for processing data. And then we have legitimate interest. In this case, controllers process data in a way that it will have a minimal impact on their privacy. Their privacy will not be breached, their human rights will not be breached. So this processing, the interest of the data subject is being looked at. The controllers make sure that they try as much as possible to prevent breach, or to make sure that their data subject data are not being, their data subject privacy are not being breached, and their right to are not being violated. So public tax is necessary. Like here, controllers need public tax where the processing of personal data is in order to carry out a tax for the public interest of the data subject. So yeah, we are talking about my own public interest. Mostly public tax, I think public tax is being used by the government because they might need your personal data in order to perform a tax that will favor everybody or be in a public interest of you as a person. So please, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we
Blessing,
can.
we can hear you.
Please, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Yes, Blessing, we can hear you. Carry on, please.
Okay, we move on to international data transfer. International data transfer refers to the processing of transferring personal data from one country in compliance with the rules and regulation government of data while still ensuring that the data subjects' rights and privacy are not being violated. Their privacy are adequately protected. And then the Nigerian Data Act clearly states that a data control or permit personal data to be transferred from Nigeria to any other country unless the recipient is the NDPR. That before data are being transferred from one country to another, there must be some adequacy of protection, and some of the data may be subject to maybe specified restriction depending on the nature of the data. And then when we talk about the concept of adequacy, it recognizes that most countries' data protection standards or legal frameworks are not the same. So there have to be some adequate measures to be taken in order to protect the data subject data, and also to make sure that the country that is receiving the data, that there will be no breach. So there will be no breach of the data before you can transfer the data. And also when adequate decisions are being reached, like when, for example, when Nigeria like for example, when Nigeria knows very well, or when Nigeria is giving you some when Nigeria is giving when there is like an adequate decisions from Nigeria before data is being transferred to another country, like maybe to Cameroon, Nigeria will know that they will take time to decide, okay, whether the receiving countries' data protection rules are being set very well before they can transfer any data to Cameroon. And also we have that adequacy decisions requires administrative burdens and protect seamless data flows. Then, so in conclusion, before anybody can actually process data, we have to make sure that these legal bases are being put in place for both transferring of data and then processing of data in order to ensure that our data subject privacy are being protected and then are not breached, and their rights too are not also being violated. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you. I can really understand when the pressure gets on, but thanks for keeping your cool and holding your fort for the fort. You did a good job. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. While the Blessing was giving her presentation, Mr. Solomon joined the call. Hello, sir. Good evening. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Solomon. Yes, sir. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you.
Nice to hear from you again.
It's been quite a very hectic week for me. Yesterday, I spent the entire day in the city of Ibadan. So I was actually mentoring, training some young lawyers and law students. And I had to return to
Yes, I
Lagos.
think I saw that on your LinkedIn.
Yes. So it's been, and today now I've gone out and all of that. So I'm so sorry.
It's fine, sir. It's nice to have you around. Anytime is always wonderful. Mr. Emmanuel has been holding the fort and is doing an amazing job. Our mentors are amazing. Thank you, JIIPCC. Okay, we've heard from groups 1 and 2. Mr. Emmanuel, would like to give a feedback on what you heard from both groups, please.
Okay, good to be back again. Thank you and welcome, Mr. Solomon. And good to know you are in Nigeria. And I'm also enjoying my summer in Nigeria as well. And
great, you're around.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Wonderful.
That's amazing.
So back to the presentation. I would like to okay, now I'll comment on the first presentation because I got their slide and I noticed that sorry, let me just open as well while we're talking. I noticed that the way they arrange the types of data, they will really not get like a clearer picture of what it entails. I will use what is applicable in the EU so that maybe you get a clearer flow of how they classify data. They classify data into personal data and sensitive data. Now, when it comes to personal data, they're talking about those things that concerns an individual, which includes like the name, the address, the phone number, etc. Then when it comes to sensitive data, they're looking at health data, they're looking at ethnic background, they're looking at political, they're looking at biometrics. So those are classified as sensitive data. Then when it comes to the impact assessment now, what is done is that they are classified based on the kind of risks that each data can bring about, which is high risks, medium risks, and low risks. So that will help you in your impact assessment. And that is actually one of the best practices for organizations to be able to have proper data mapping. But in general, I would say that you have a wonderful presentation, a wonderful slide, but I would like you to make it in a better form that you can easily understand them and be able to explain them in a better way. When you add financial data, biometrics, at the end of the day, you may not know which one is considered more sensitive. Like now, the general rule is that now there must be consent to processing of general data. Now, when it comes to sensitive data, the general rule in the EU is that there's no processing of any sensitive data. Then they have the exceptional grounds on which you can now process. So that's why they made it personal and sensitive. So with this little explanation, it will help you reclassify your data and understand it better. Then for group 2, I just went through your slide now during your presentation. I would like to have it before the end of the section so that I'll be able to make some comment on it, please.
Okay, sir, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Okay, Mr. Solomon, I know you're itching to say something and we're willing to listen. So please, leave the floor over to you to briefly discuss on the topic for today. Is Solomon still here? Oh no, we've lost him on the call. Lost him on the call. Okay, we'll be trying to reach out to him to know what's happening. Also, I noticed that most of our presentations also had a lot about the EU. I know that Nigeria has recently domesticated our own laws on data protection. I was really hoping to see some of those particular sections of our laws in our presentations to make it feel more at home. But we thank God that we're moving through. So Emmanuel, please, you can carry on, sir, in the absence of Mr. Solomon.
Okay. And now I noticed that in the first presenter as well, you didn't really like give much details about the data minimization. So let me still bring it in a very simpler form again. For you to have a better understanding about it, just know that when it comes to minimization, the concept is about having adequate data that are relevant and must be limited to what they're required for. That is what the concept is all about. The data must be adequate, relevant, and limited to what it is required for. That is the concept of minimization. With that now, I'm okay with the provision 24C of the Data Protection Act that you provided there. That's a kudos. As the moderator rightly said, we should get more of it because that is the applicable law right now. That is what has a very strong enforceable flow right now in Nigeria. So we should see more of, we should see you citing more of the Data Protection Act in your presentations. That's very important. So I don't know, Mr. Moderator, if you can give me like up to if you can give me a few minutes to go through the second presenters. I want to go through the slide and I'll make some comment as well.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir, you can do that. Mentees, at this point, let's see how to brainstorm while Mr. Emmanuel goes through your slides. Okay, so can we discuss on today's class on data collection, transfer, minimization, and lawful use? Are there new things we're learning today that we want to then probably throw more light on before we go into the questions from the different groups? Please, mentees, can we just let's get some juice out of our mentor that is around. The truth is, this is one particular topic that is so important in data protection, in privacy and protection, the collection, the transfer, and the minimization. A lot of people get actually confused what is minimal data, and also in the transfer process, especially when it comes to transferring of data outside the country, it's a whole lot. We use a lot of apps that require transferring data out of the country. So mentees, are we here? Please come on, let's say something.
Let me say something. There's something I've just been thinking of. Like, I was thinking of when I did my BBN. That was like when I was still in undergraduate. I did my BBN in First Bank. Although I don't use that First Bank account again, but whenever I want to go and create another bank account, and I'm just in that bank, and I was like, they will just ask you. They won't be like asking me everything. They asked on that the first bank account, right? So they'll just ask you, what is your BVN? Immediately I give them my BVN, like it's just as if First Bank just transferred everything like this. Everything is in their hand. You get, so they have like all my info with just my BVN. So there's this app I installed on my phone the other day. I wanted to buy Apple gift card so that I can buy Apple Music on my phone. So when I was now registering, I used my my email. I was comfortable putting my email, and I was thinking they'll just say, this is the account number, send their money so that you get gift card. The next thing they were telling me, I should put my BVN, and I was not comfortable. Like I was scared. I was like, no, this one I will not do it because look at the way Access Bank used my BVN to access all my info. So I couldn't trust just an application with my BVN. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Where are our mentees? Should we call names? Isaac, Blessing, Chijoke, Benedicta, where are you all? So do we think his data privacy has been breached on? Has there been a breach or something? You had a scenario, right? Can we make this more engaging?
Yes, we did. We had the scenario.
Okay, so Mr. Solomon is already here, but before we transfer to him, so can we talk? What do you think based on the scenario he just gave?
I think good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I think for most financial apps, most apps that would require you sending money or receiving money, you have to attach your BVN. And if you're not comfortable enough to release such information, then probably you should not be using such an app. That's just what I think. Because anything that requires financial services right now in Nigeria needs your BVN. Because the central bank has to have a way of tracking these transactions for reasons like money laundering and a lot of other things. So for such transactions, you have to find an app that you can trust wholly and entirely with your information. That's just my opinion.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So it's back to the data subject to know that if you don't want to give more than the information you're asked to give, do not use the app then. Okay. Isaac, you have something to say?
Actually, okay, I will not say this is an expert advice, but I believe as far as you are banked with them, we gave them their consent in the first instance that they should use this data. As the first person rightly said, if you don't want to bank with them, it's, you can decide not to. No one is forcing you. It's your data you are processing here. So that's it.
Okay. Let's hear from one last person. Who would that be? Obona Chika. We've not heard your voice throughout today. Chijoke, Lillian, Ezine, Olabi. Okay.
I just spoke right now.
I didn't hear nothing. Okay. So we want to move over to one of our resident experts on the call this evening. Hello, Mr. Solomon. We lost you earlier. We want to hear from you based on data protection, data collection rather, transfer and data minimization, sir.
Well, yes, I'm back, and please permit me to remain with my video.
It's very fine. It's
not
fine.
starting. Thank you. Okay, so great. Yes, I think the first comment I have is I just checked the slide now. I don't know which group has that slide. For the first time, I'm seeing a presentation in a mentoring session citing a case. Like I always say, and please let every of the mentee on the call take this seriously, particularly for those who are lawyers or law students. Decided cases are applications of rules and principles of law. They are the guidepost for us to know whether in fact, sometimes they check as a blue litmus test for the law, whether that law is valid, or constitutional in itself. And for those who don't know, many of us think that, okay, yes, since we now have a data protection act, it's now a case of Eldorado. That act in itself, we are just started. I'm sure in a couple of days from now, some people will read about some cases. Some cases have been filed already, A few of them in my name, a few of them in the name of other persons. Some of us are going to come, we are challenging that act in itself. And of course, I don't know whether I raised it in this, I think I raised it the last time, that if you have any violation or threatening violation of your right to personal data here, which court do you go to? Now, that law, it's very, very unclear when it comes to that. And there are a few other provisions like that. So, and I can say categorically that within the next 12 months from now, we will be having sufficient, or let me say, significant number of decisions by our court. So, talking about data collection generally, of course, almost everybody on the call actually has a good idea of what data collection is. But I think one of the ones I would love to quickly give a view on is the issue of data minimization. Now, I could remember that, could recall that some of us have actually given views on BVA NIN. Now, how many of us here on this call got a NIN about 5 years ago? 5, 4, 3 years ago? Is there anybody in the room? You got your NIN about 3 years ago? 4 years, 5 years? Great.
About 4 years ago.
Oh, excellent. So who is that person? Who just answered me now?
Chikanumezi.
Oh, please give me your first name.
Chikanumezi.
I'm so sorry. Please pardon me. Can you shorten it for me?
Chika.
Chika, thank you. All right, Chika. Chika, so when did you get enrolled on NIN?
Sometime 2017, 2018.
So where did you do it?
I went to the NIMC Center. And
NIMC Center, which state?
Enugu.
Enugu, okay. So when you were being enrolled, were you given a form?
Yes, I was.
How many pages?
Like 2-3 pages.
Like how many fields on the form?
I cannot exactly remember, but it had a lot. It had yes, it had mother's information, father's information,
and your bank
government,
your bank card.
It had, I think it asked for your BVN.
No, aside that, it has your bank card, your bank, name of your bank.
No, it didn't have the name of my bank. It does.
I can share with you. I'll tell you
what I think I eventually just got the slip and I never got the card.
No. You didn't get what I'm saying. I'm saying the form has a place asking for your bank card.
Oh, I don't remember, but it was a lot.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. No, I can remember because I actually consulted for the development partners who were giving credit of $40 million to the Nigerian government. Nigerian government needed $750 million for that project. So they needed to take credit from development partners, which are World Bank, EIB, and FDA. So while working on the project, of course, part of stakeholders engagement. So we engaged the duty bearers, which one of them is the NIMC himself, which is the implementing agency. So when we asked, we requested some documents, and one of them, of course, is the enrollment form. That enrollment form has 60 fields, 60. And I can tell you that about 25% of the information, no, not 25, about 35% of the information on that form, you do not need them. In fact, NIMC does not need them.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when all of that happened, we analyzed them, we made recommendations. If you got enrolled last year, chances are that the form you've completed was half a page form of 10 feet, 10 feet, as opposed to 60 feet. These were actually implementations of some of the recommendations we made based on data minimization. because the data they were collecting before were not proportionate to the purpose of the collection. Do you get the point? Hello?
Yes, I get the point.
Now, of course, aside that, most of us here are aware that when we need to open a bank account, they will request for your mother's maiden name. And I've asked repeatedly, and I'm still asking, why does the bank need my mother's maiden name? For what purpose?
Exactly.
Sorry?
I think it's more for the purpose of identification of a specific person, because different people can have the same name, but it will be very rare for them to have the same mother's name.
Are you sure?
I'm not
also,
sure,
sir,
but that's just my opinion.
I know there was a point where I also thinking that there are times where you need to recover probably your account, or they want to know who exactly owns it. Some of these questions could actually pose for, should I say, just like you have backup or recovery questions that not everyone would know. They might know the details about you, but they're not your mother. So when they want to know who actually owns the account, and then they ask for that particular information that you alone should know, and you actually bring for that name, that could actually help to give that credibility that you own the account, not somebody else.
Amazing. That sounds very credible. But at some point, I'm sure you've actually had reasons for your bank to call you. Maybe you signed a reference form for someone. Have you ever had an instance where they had a result to your mother's maiden name? Has it ever happened?
No, sir.
I think it has happened to me once.
For me, never.
Mother's maiden name?
Yes, because I had a problem with my name on the account. The name on the account was not, like, I filled an account opening form, and then they spelled my name. And then to like correct the error, they had to ask like a lot of questions. Well, I don't think it was helpful eventually, because they ended up telling me to go and get an affidavit. So
Should I tell you the truth? They don't need your mother's maiden name.
True.
You see, look, the truth is, just like I need to let you know, and which also we are filing a case on that too. Central Bank of Nigeria has actually requested for social media identifiers of customers, and their claim is actually for KYC. Excuse me, we have 57% of Nigerians who have BVN. Two, with BVN is the most comprehensive financial identifier when it comes to financial transaction in Nigeria. There are some bank customers who don't have social media identifier. And I could have a social media and without using it. Now, so the point is this: the use of a social media or all.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sir, hello, sir. I think it's a network problem.
Integration to online expressions when it comes to concept of digital rights is the fact that it is within the concept of freedom of expression that you can actually use pseudonyms on social media platforms. And no government can compel you to use your real name on social media platforms. For quite a number of persons, that is actually how they freely express themselves. And let me also remind some of us here, maybe some people think it should not be or it should be. Do you know that some global institutions, global firms, when you go to their website, I don't know whether anybody have come across it, you will see some names. Let's say Jim Walker's. And instead of seeing Jim Walker's, image, where his name appears, you will see it either blank, or you see the image of a cat, or you just see like a drawing. Why? Jim Workers doesn't want his image to be online. I'm not sure of how many Nigerian employers will do that. Many of them, even when you just only intern with them and you left you completed the internship about 6 months ago, your image will still be on their website. Some you have left the employment 5 years ago, they will still keep your personal data on their website. Sorry? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that quite a number of times, most data controllers actually collect and process personal data that they do not need for anything. But you see, the problem is this: oftentimes they themselves don't actually know that they don't need them. I don't know whether somebody gets this. Am I still on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
yes, sir, we can hear you.
If they don't need them, that's affecting data minimization then.
Yes. Now, no, so oftentimes most of these guys don't even know that they don't need those information. Let me give an example. There's a proverb in Yoruba land that says it is the thought of prospective use that makes a lunatic gather many things he doesn't need. Now, when you see a lunatic on the street with so many baggage, now he's actually picking every piece of paper, every cellophane, everything, every piece of clothing he can lay his hand on, because in his mind, he will need them. But most of the times, 95% of the time, he does not even need any of them. But because he thought we need them. So for me, at best, I can actually liken many data controllers to this metaphorical lunatic who thinks someday there will be a need. You don't worry, we may have a need for it. So now the whole concept of data minimization is one of the things that actually has to be drummed to the minds of many data controllers. Do you actually need this information? Or you think you will need it? You don't gather information you think you will need. If it's not directly proportional to the purpose, you know the purpose, don't you? So if it's not directly proportional, there's no point needing it. There's no point asking for it. That's the fact. And I can tell you categorically, until many of us begin to actually take this thing seriously, and when I mean seriously, until we begin to, initiate legal challenges, that is when we can get many data controllers, including government, to sit up. Now, most of the cases, when you find out that most of the cases we find that Digital Rights Lawyers Initiative are against the government, it wasn't coincidental. It was intentional. Because for us, one, the government is actually the biggest violator of all rights, including privacy. Now, so if you are not going after the government, you are only playing. Just like they will say in the streets, they play. So if what we will do is to do this mentoring session, do all your beautiful slides, cite all the cases, and the only thing is that we go back to our normal life without initiating any challenge that can make lasting impression on every stakeholder on the ecosystem, then I will just only tell us the play. That's a fact. So we really need to get everybody to do what they have to do the right way. So for me, data minimization, I expect as we are here, you see, the worst thing that will happen is for the court to disagree with you. And guess what? You can go to the Court of Appeal. And if anybody says, okay, I don't have the time, okay, I'm not called yet, trust me, send me an email, reach out to me. Either DRLI or Solomon Kidera & Co. can take up such a case for you for free. But I'm saying this, whether you're taking up with yourself legally, or professionally, or you get a lawyer to do that for you, until we are all committed to ensure that every stakeholder, particularly data controllers, private or public, do the right thing. understand that, look, I don't need to collect more than I need. Then we are just only playing. And trust me, let me let you know this. If all you think you want to do is to tell them, shout at them in the banking hall, tell them they are not doing the right thing, trust me, they won't budge. In fact, most of the times, their legal department don't even know either. I mean, the guys there don't know either. Now, when I was thinking about it yesterday, I was having chat with some of those folks, and some of them are telling me that in some schools, and most schools, they still display results. So when if I have 1.2, all my friends, my classmates can see it. I mean, I could also remember when I was in school, I was in Arts Fellowship or Sunday service when my fellowship members came to tell me my GPA. Imagine. So, but because some of these institutions still don't know either. So we need to do the right thing. If we need to write a letter, write a letter. If they do not respond, then follow up with a lawsuit. Sometimes you're not filing the lawsuit because you want to make money. Some other time, if the money comes, please collect it and have fun. But until all of us take this thing seriously beyond discussing in a mentoring session like this, I will once again tell us they play. So at this point, let me leave and maybe Mr. Manet still has one or two comments or contribution. And if there's any other opportunity, I'll still stay on the call. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. Thank you. It's always so thought-provoking. At times when we're done with a session like this, I'm asking myself, am I sure I would not be just writing briefs and lawsuits? Because, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Mentees, are mentees still here?
Yeah, we are here. We are fully very well.
Okay. Hope that was a wonderful one. Okay. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, sir, have you had time to go through the slide as you said to give your feedback on it, please?
Yes, I will say that they did better. They did very well as well. And I commend their slide and the way they explained every legal basis properly. So I'll give them a kudos to their job. And I don't know if we can go into the question section as well.
Yes, I was just about bringing that up. Thank you. Okay, so we have our question. It's a very interesting one. Okay, dear mentors, can you listen? Threads was recently launched by Meta. However, it has been banned in the EU, citing data protection concerns, most especially data transfer. Why are countries in Africa get to take the same step? Please,
okay, thank you, Mr. Goslow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for this. I'll just pick it up from here. And I would like to make a correction that it is not banned in the EU, or it is not yet banned, but Meta, they are skeptical about initiating it in the EU because of the strict adherence to every given law, especially the Digital Act. Now, just like what Mr. Solomon said, it is very important that these principles, these policies, these laws are not just in the books and not in practice. Just as he said, like we play a lot in Nigeria, we play over things, and we allow a lot of things to be swept under the carpet. Now, in the EU, the GDPR is a regulation that is more of advisory. But I bet you, if you see the way the enforcement is, you will think that it is an act. It is so the kind of approach they give to their laws and regulations, they are applaudable. Meta are aware of how the EU enforce their laws. Now, if you look at majority of the cases against Facebook, you see terms, you will see that of Ireland, you see different, the cases, the major cases that Facebook have really suffered a lot of damages are all from the majority of them are from the EU. Now, this is because of the way that their laws are strictly adhered to. Now, in the case of this this particular app now that's actually the new app that is challenging Twitter, we all know that there is massive transfer of data from Instagram, right? And you can't try that in the EU. You cannot try that. Now that is more of like the unfair practice, unfair trade practice, because now you're using the fact that you have a lot of data. Now you're a big data company. So you can take advantage of that and move into a new venture. No, it's not possible. There's a due process which you must adhere to. Trust me, if they should launch pen in the EU within a short time, they will pay damages that that will shut the company down. And they are not ready for that. Meta is not ready for that. So I don't see the possibility of them at any time launching it in the EU. Now, the question is why African countries not adopting all these measures? Is because we play. We don't take most of these laws serious. We see organizations, how many are ready to employ DPOs? How many are ready to adhere to the relevant laws and regulations? That is the question. And just as Mr. Solomon as well said, when you challenge these people to court, what is the outcome? There are a lot of questions that Africans have to answer. And when we're ready to put our house in order, then we should know that these big companies will be scared of implementing most of their ideas in Africa and play with our data. I believe Mr. Solomon will have a lot to add to this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, Mr. Solomon, over to you, sir. I think I'm really interested in this one because I'm on thread. So let me know what I'm suing.
Okay, so let me be honest. I actually had to move away. I went to quickly sort something, but now, so let me know what I'm commenting on, please. Okay, is it on the slide or a general?
Okay, sir. There's a question. The mentees had sent a question earlier.
Okay.
Yes, and the question reads: Threads was recently launched by Meta. However, it has been banned in the EU, citing data protection concerns, most especially data transfer. Why are countries in Africa yet to take the same step?
Okay.
Well, so that laughter is scary. Please, I'm on thread.
well, let me tell you the truth. The question is that many of us have had a right to personal data and privacy violated a couple of times, but we don't care. The only time we raise alarm is when that contravention, takes away our money. I think it's our money that matters to us. Now, but then until that happens, even when such a contravention had denied us of an opportunity, we don't care because we don't know we have lost opportunity. When some persons have actually reaped from us, we don't care because we don't know. So now, pretty much of what I will say, Mr. Manuel have said them. He has said them, and maybe I would have just adopted the words of Ilana Justice of the Supreme Court to say, I've listened to the judgment of my learned brother, and I have nothing useful to add. But then I think I would just also say this. It is just a typical disposition of an African government. Because oftentimes, look, now we have Nigeria Data Protection Act. It's somebody, I guess somebody needs to mute his speaker.
Sorry about that. Let me check who the person is. You can carry on, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Isaac, kindly mute your speaker, please. Okay, carry on, sir.
Okay, so my point is this. Many of us actually thought having Nigeria Data Protection Act will give us a state of Eldorado. Now we have the act. What next? The act itself will not work by itself. People need to apply the act. And applying the act does not just stop at taking legal actions against private data controllers. Even the government. When we need to call the government out, let's call them out. When we need to drag them, let's drag them. When we need to sue them, let's sue them. So my point here is this. Beyond, like I said, this is still an extension of what I said earlier. You see, beyond being scholar, being practitioner, we need to have activist mind to this. And when I'm talking about activism, I'm not talking about street activism. I'm talking about let's go all out. Sometimes we can go scholarly about it. When we realize that the government is not doing something right, it's not living up to its responsibility in this regard, we need to do something. Okay, so let me give you an example. Look at this. Lagos State government has this program. If anyone is convicted for sexual offenses, the person's name will actually be listed on a list of sexual offenders. Is there anybody in the room who is aware of that?
No, sir.
Okay, so Lagos State government as a state is a state that has zero tolerance for sexual offenses. And I'm so with that. I'm huge on that. In fact, some of us know this prankster in Ibadan, Trinity guy, who was arraigned, he was arrested, also he was invited by the police, arraigned, and is still in prison custody as we speak. Now, God is so kind to him that happened in Ibadan. If it actually happened in Lagos and is arraigned, trust me, that guy will not actually get bail until the matter is concluded. Because Lagos State, government and Lagos State judiciary has zero tolerance for sexual offenses. Having said that, if someone is convicted, there's now a list of sexual offenders where the person's name will be listed. So, for example, it actually helps them to track, people. For example, let's say you want to employ a housemaid, a driver, a nanny. I mean, we have female sexual offenders. So one of the things people sometimes will have to do is to go to that list to be sure that this person is not a sexual offender. For example, there's some sexual offenders. There's some people that, if you have actually had stories of people molesting a 5-year-old baby, a 3-month-old baby, you know that the thing is more or less an addiction. It's not an act. So such persons, even when they are punished and they come back from correctional center, the chances that they will still molest the next girl, the next boy, is 100%. But so, as data protection experts, let's look at this. Robert was convicted by High Court of Lagos State, and his name is now listed on sexual offenders list. Now, Robert appealed to the Court of Appeal, and just yesterday, Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos, Court 2, delivered a judgment setting aside the judgment of the High Court of Lagos State, then, of course, which thereby discharged and acquit him. Now, the story of Robert now is that is as if he never committed that offense. In fact, in the eye of the law, he didn't commit that offense. Now, but his name is already on the sexual offenders list. Though, of course, pretty much this applies to right to be forgotten. So now, if Robert now approaches Lagos State, do you know that Lagos State may be saying, okay, you know what, that name is there, at least as far as we are concerned, you committed the offense and this and that and all of that. Now, my point here is this. Unless these people are approached constructively and you let them know that, look, if this name has been published, I don't think some names should be published until the offender has exhausted all the lines of appeal. I don't know whether someone is listening. Can you hear me?
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we're here.
So my point here is this. One of the things that I think should be sent to the Lagos State government is that, look, it's fine that this person has been convicted. Now, but we are saying, look, do not publish this person's personal data on that list until he has exhausted the appeal, line. For example, if he has gone to the Court of Appeal affirms conviction, please, you cannot publish his name yet. The Supreme Court may upturn it. Now, if he has gone to Supreme Court and Supreme Court affirms it, please proceed. Or he had actually slept off for the duration of his appeal. So he did not appeal, then of course, by implication, then he has waived his right to appeal. Then after that period, then you can proceed. But my point is that, has anybody checked to know that Lagos State government does not publish the name of sexual offenders, within 90 days of conviction or of sentencing? So that's one of the things. And let me say this. Let me ask this question. I really don't know whether JIIPCC can consider this. I'm not sure I want to arrogate a power I do not have to myself. But if it's possible, one of the assignments I think JIIPCC can consider to give mentees on this program, which will greatly help them, is to find out. I mean, that from time to time we can consider assignment. Maybe such assignment is, please find out with the Ministry of Social Welfare and the Department of Social Welfare, that within what period from the date of sentencing of a sexual offender does the ministry publish names of an offender on the list? Because if they do that before exhausting the line of appeal or the day of the first appeal, then the person's right to be forgotten, which is even now recognized under our law, would actually be violated. Because should, for whatever reason, the Court of Appeal set aside the judgment of the lower court, then that person then will still be on that list, whereas it does not have a reason to have his name on the list. So that's my view.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. I want to say a big thank you to our mentors. It's been really, 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 really amazing. Mr. Emmanuel, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Solomon, thank you so much, sir. On behalf of JIIPCC, I want to say a big thank you. It's I've been in JIIPCC program for 3 times, and it's coming back even as a moderator is still a good learning process. Thank you so much, sir, and God bless you for everything you keep doing for JIIPCC, for always answering the call to come and impact knowledge. Thank you so much to our mentors. And to the mentees, thank you so much for your time, for being here with us. We really, really appreciate that. The time is fast spent today. We're so sorry about that. So without any further ado, we'd love to bring the session to a close. Thank you so much, and do have an amazing weekend. Mr. Solomon, based on your request or your suggestion, I'm going to take it up with JIIPCC about that. I will see how to bring that in. That's a very good suggestion. I think it's going to bring a hands-on field knowledge to what we're being taught here, not just the theoretical aspect, but practical aspect. Thank you so much, sir. So to all mentees and mentors, do have an amazing weekend. Thank you very much.